So, wanted to give an update from yesterday. I had a few viral landmines in my body, and they did trigger, and it could have been from other viruses or different variants. Could be from the food supply, because food does trigger viruses to code, because yes, food has coding. Um, and which is why the FDA and the CDC all have these warnings out there for different types of foods that have an effect on a percentage of the population that it may influence and trigger some of your viral energy. And so once we figured out that viruses actually do run everything, then it makes sense about dreams. It makes sense about symptoms. It makes sense about cancer, disease, and chronic illness. It makes sense about personalities and personality disorders. And so yesterday, yes, I had a viral energy trigger within me, and I just mucused it out, pooped it out. I slept for basically most of the day yesterday. Ate a bunch before I took a nap yesterday, between like when I woke up around, I don't know, 11 or 12, and I got up around 4 p.m. I took a nap. Right before I took a nap, I ate some cheese and I ate some rice. And so your body is going to need a lot of coding and recoding. And the aging process is all those viral thermodynamics that are taking away the energy from your body. And if you're not kicking out the conflicting viral programming, yes, that viral programming is also attacking parts of your body because it's getting these mixed, glitchy messages. And so the aging process is conflicting viral energy that is attacking your body and taking away resources. And you're wondering, like, well, how is a person still able to live with all that conflicting energy? Why don't they have some kind of cancer, disease, and chronic illness? Well, they do have cancer, disease, and chronic illness. Well, they do have all the different chronic illnesses. That's the aging process. But it's not highly energetic, because every single time you feel an energy, a person then takes away that energy with an antibiotic, or they take out an organ, or they do other things to temper the energy. And so since a person is not regenerating at an optimal level or at a maximum level more than their body is utilizing resources, then this is the aging process. And it can be very, glamorous to some people, because you don't see them dealing with too much conflicting energy. They're just really just chill. But you do see the signs of the viruses chipping away at their soul when you start looking and seeing their face is losing collagen, losing weight. Like when somebody gets the flu virus, and you've seen that, they say, always feed a cold, feed a flu. Well, the reason why is because that flu virus is working through your system, and it is sending messages to apoptosize a person. What is that? The disassembling of mutated cells, okay? Autophagy is going on. And when a person doesn't really eat while they're dealing with a flu virus or a cold virus, they lose a lot of weight. Well, why do they lose a lot of weight? Because all of that energy, those resources that you had on reserve, was being used to deal with the recoding and also the body going through its own defense. And yeah, when you have recoding going on and you're producing antibodies, and they could be agonist antibodies, they could be antagonist antibodies. Well, it needs to utilize the resources. If there's no resources for it to use except for what you have, then it's going to utilize that. And if you're not constantly replenishing the reserves, then the body will go into depletion. And that's when people lose a lot of weight, when they get a flu virus or a cold virus. And so I noticed that I eat a lot more when I've been exposed to some kind of variant, because I'm now feeding that virus to do what it needs to do. And I gotta blow my nose. Hold on. Oh, it's so annoying. So food is very, 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 very important when you are dealing with so many viruses in the environment. Dogs need food. They need actually more than just our dog food. They need people food. Like even my dog, she just gives me the look like, like I'm talking about her. But yes, animals and dogs, all domestic animals, livestock, during these highly viral times, major transducers in the atmosphere, you need as much insulation as you can get. You need as much energy to deal with this energy as you can get. And that's like the covalent bonding, that's the insulation. And so, yeah, viruses are the crux of everything. I mean, when you hear, like in your dreams, I used to have bad dreams or nightmares in the beginning of this whole Jilly Juice process because, yes, all the viral transducers that are reformulating and then my predominant viral energy is taking hold, it's in the process of kicking out the old viral energy, and on their way out the door, they start whispering in all your body parts. Like, I'm serious. I know I sound crazy, but no, viruses are the soul of every single human, plant, animal. And some viruses are more intelligent than others because they have such a conglomeration, such a community that they feed off each other. That's why you get the lactobacillus, in the probiotics, whether it's fruit probiotics or it's salt probiotics, like from cabbage and kale. Those will reinforce your body's defenses. And yes, they do reflect back what your body is intending. And if you're still you and you're not some like alternative personality, alternate universe type of thing, then your predominant you is going to kick out anything that does not belong, that is not in the majority. Okay? When something else is in the majority, that's called cancer. And so you always have to make sure that you are you, and that you're not giving up your body to somebody else, whether it's to another person or it's to another viral entity or it's to an institution. You remain sovereign. And that's the thing right now about freedom. Sovereignty is in your body. It's not out there. It's not in some community. I mean, yeah, obviously, hey, John, obviously you don't want any invading population coming into your house and taking over your house. No, you defend your house as if it was your life, because it is your life. And so, you want to make sure that you stay you and that you keep yourself sovereign in body, mind, and spirit. So viruses are the soul. They're your conscious. They are the good dreams. They're the bad dreams. When viruses leave your body, you get the craziest dreams. You get the yucky dreams. I've had the craziest dreams in the beginning, but now I get now dreams of just stuff reinforcing what I'm talking about. I mean, about the aging process and the viral transducers chipping away at people. And then the reason why, yes, again, you don't see them dealing with cancer, disease, and chronic illness, or they have before and now it's not anymore. Well, it's because the body was attempting to try to take back what was being taken from them. And finally, the body is finally giving up, but it's still you. But now those viruses, those foreign entities are like cannibalizing you in a lot of ways. And that's more on a theoretical sense, on a more very abstract sense. I mean, yes, you can get down to the scientific brass tacks of it, and then you look at your blood type, you look at all the different titer tests that you test positive for. I mean, that's why everything is HIPAA, because if people would know how many positives they would come up on a titer test, and what kind of energy is in their body, they would just freak out. I mean, with the amount of parasites or the protozoa, the proteins, the fungus, and the bacteria. And so they would also, people who have, and then they get infection, and they take that infection and they start tempering the energy by using antibiotics. And so viruses also contribute to every single one of your symptoms too. That's the body going through a viral upload. And that's a new entity coming in and, yes, laying groundwork, which is fine, but you don't want them to take over yet again. Because guess what? When you have so many viruses laying groundwork in your body and you're not releasing more than you're taking in, okay, then that's when you have cancer, disease, chronic illness, autoimmune disorders. You have fibromyalgia. All those little nerve endings, and from fibromyalgia and all those different pain type like lupus and all of that, those are all viral energies just setting off. The landmines are being triggered left and right, and it's affecting your nervous system. It's affecting your pain sensors, and you feel it all the time, and the body's constantly trying to defend itself. And when you get tired of that, that's when people turn to like cannabis, and they turn to antibiotics, they turn to all the things that will just make them not feel it. And so even though you don't feel it, doesn't mean it's not happening. It's still happening, but you just don't feel it. And then you start seeing the person morph into something that's really crazy. And then also to age faster. Okay? I mean, you see it in people who are dealing with cancer, disease, chronic illness, autoimmune disorders, because their body is slowly falling apart. They're losing their eyesight, losing their hair, losing collagen. forget stuff, have memory issues. Also, the self-medication also contributes to the breaking down of their memories and breaking down of their body. Dementias in the future. And then also the risk of exposure to new viral entities. They can't risk being around a lot of people because they're fighting an autoimmune disorder. I mean, there's so many reasons why people have so many issues because of all that conflicting viral programming. And so, yeah, when I first got really afflicted with that COVID, with the respiratory side of it, I did hear whispers in my ear. I had some weird dreams prior to me actually feeling that. And then, so yesterday was one day of me feeling like, okay, I coughed, really deep cough because I trained my diaphragm to expel. I was blowing my nose. Okay, so it was like a very small snapshot of what I felt for like 2 or 3 weeks when I was afflicted with a more aggressive version. And was it more aggressive, or was the fact that my body wasn't built up for that yet? And so I was building up the strength to deal with that kicking out of the excess viral entity. So yesterday being exposed was like, or not even exposed, it's just a landmine being triggered. Okay, that's the thing, is that you don't know when these landmines get triggered. It's not like it's a bad thing, but you may not have the strength or have the wherewithal or the insulation to deal with it. And so it's like, some people's like, oh yes, when it's my time, it's my time. Yeah, okay, but you have every, control over that time that you think that, you have no control over. And that's because you need to have a higher sodium diet. You need to reset your body to equilibrium. Okay, then you need to feel the pain. Okay, and so that's the whole crux of the whole J Juice mentality, is that at some point you need to reset your body. What does that even look like? Well, I mean, if you're really, really, really obese, then yeah, you're probably gonna do a lot of more waterfalls than not, just because you're you're giving your body the electrolytes that it's been needing because you have so much covalent bonding. You have so much insulation. And, you don't want to starve yourself of carbs and sugar and meats and all this stuff, because that's what your DNA needs to reinforce itself and to keep replicating. Okay. So the fact that you're missing so much of the electrolytes and so much of the salt, people who are obese probably need a lot more J Juice until they get to a sort of, equilibrium. And what does that look like? It's hard to say. But you don't want to, when you start not feeling anything anymore and it doesn't work anymore, then you need to lay off the J Juice. And you need to let all of the symptoms come through. You need to eat the food supply, eat, a high sodium diet, drink some probiotics if you need to. I mean, not so much J Juice, maybe like some fruit probiotics. Have a high salty diet and release the excess through your butt. I mean, pooping. And, eating a lot of cabbage, eating a lot of cruciferous vegetables. I mean, that's probably what triggered it, was the fact that, yes, I had landmines in my body, and then I ate, something like cabbage. I don't eat cabbage a lot. I eat a lot of different, I eat a lot of foods, vegetables, but cabbage and kale are very, 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 very nutritious. And they're very intense when it comes to recoding your body. Okay, it has so many of the different vitamins and nutrition, and you can read that. That's why the J Juice was nothing wrong with it, except for the fact that people were using it as a cure because of the salt. But the nutrition in the J Juice is from the cabbage and kale. But eating raw cabbage and kale is not a bad thing. Actually, it's probably the best thing you can do. And and not so much raw, but when I cook it and I break it down when I cook it with some onions that do control mucus a little bit, right? But I had mucus still and I had onions, so it wasn't like the onions were that strong to stop the mucus. But that's the balance. Is that when you're cooking with the cabbage and with the kale, and you're using a little bit of oil or butter, and you're using sausage to flavor it, or bacon, and potatoes, and maybe some mushrooms, and a little bit of Worcestershire sauce, and some salt and pepper. That is a great meal, and it does help everything get through. It's the fiber that gets everything through your system. And so it's adding more of the cabbage to your diet in your meals is not a bad thing. It doesn't have to be drunk through the Julie Juice, okay? You really want to initially reset your body and then start recoding it. And you're going to have, yes, a lot of mucus. Okay, now my last period was in July. Now we're in August. I didn't have my period from April to July. So we'll see what happens with this. We're now in August, so we're coming up. I mean, who knows? So I don't know if periods are going to come and go with, if you're going to get like 4 times a year, like quarterly, like Stevie G was saying. But I'm still testing to see exactly how my period is going to be. And women's periods are based upon the recoding of the uterus. So the body or the baby is the representation of the current environment. And right now at this point, everyone, the drum beats are louder as far as the therapeutics. And I'm just going to say it's not going to matter. Whatever programming you get through an mRNA, through anything else, it's still transducers. It's still viral energy, whether it's supposed to be less viral energy, but you're still in an environment that's dynamic. It's not like, because look at this. This is the thermodynamics. This is like the Newton's law of motion. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So as soon as you go outside, as soon as you get, a therapeutic, great, your body's being recoded by that therapeutic. No different than when you get exposed to a virus that finally triggers, right? So then you get a therapeutic, and so it's recoding your body. So you go outside, which is still dynamic. The viruses are going through you. You're breathing it in. The body's going to react to it. That's still energy being used that some of you don't have, or have a little bit of, or can't afford to keep, producing that much energy. And so even though, yes, you may not feel anything initially from a therapeutic, it's the fact that, do you have what it takes to handle the thermodynamics from that mRNA when you go outside on the act, even though you're in an inert state, so to speak, not really, but even though you're in a kind of like in a cured state, you don't really feel anything, the body is still reacting to your environment. That's what the deception of the false sense of security is with all these therapeutics, is that even though you don't feel anything, the body is still going through the processes of reacting to your environment, because your environment is not stagnant. Your environment is still very active. It's highly electric, piezoelectric. There are viruses floating around everywhere. There's energy floating around everywhere. Your body's going to react even if you don't feel it. Because even when you're doing the cannabis and you're in this fog, it's not like the body shut down because you don't feel anything. No, it means that you don't feel something, but the body's still doing what it's going to do anyways. And that's why people fall apart when they're doing drugs, because they've disabled their first and second lines of defense. And what is this first, second lines of defense? The mucus, all the different, the fever, just the feelings. Your feelings are indicators. They tell you exactly, the fight or flight. If you don't have fight or flight or anything like that, you're just like in this zombie state, then yeah, you look at the Walking Dead and they're like walking, right? But their body is falling apart. Half their skin's falling off. I mean, that's the extreme side of it. Not like you're going to be walking like that, but that's what's going on when you are disabling the first and second lines of defense, and you're disabling your indicators that something is wrong when you're in this fog of just under the influence from either a therapeutic or another therapeutic relative to what it is you're therapeuticizing. And so, yeah, you're the Walking Dead like this with half your body falling apart, but you're still kind of coherent. You're walking. I mean, the zombies are walking around attacking things, right? Until someone takes a knife to their head, and that's how they kill the zombies in The Walking Dead, is to the head, to the cerebral cortex. That's how they kill the zombies. And so that's what's gonna destroy people, is finally when their cerebral cortex or their heart or their vital organs give away because the body has nothing left. And then, yes, that's what they call the rapture. See, the Christians definitely understand what's going on. As far as what the outcome is, yes, the rapture, when you can't see the war inside, and then you're losing the war inside, and then you just fall over. When there's so much amount of viruses, which they're telling you right now, yeah, they want to get everybody, people are getting therapeuticized. You see it, like they're saying, oh yeah, there's a higher uptick in the hospitals, and then more people are getting therapeuticized. That's more energy, more different chemistry in the mix. It's going to mutate things and make things more stronger. And so then now you have everyone in the Bible Belt and all the different religions that are believing in the rapture, which I get. Yeah, it's going to happen. The rapture on some level is going to happen for a lot of people because they don't have what it takes. The system set them up to fail. They couldn't handle all of that viral energy, whether they feel it or not. It's still happening. And so it's just kind of, that's why there's really nothing you can do. You can't tell someone not to do something. You can't tell them to do something. When it comes to, if they don't want to feel pain, and that's the whole thing. That's why people don't want to do a therapeutic, because they don't want to feel pain. Okay, so you don't do a therapeutic. They're still exposed to the same environment. It's still highly, highly piezoelectric. They still haven't reinforced their main immune system. They haven't reinforced anything. They're still at a deficit that would want them to get a therapeutic because they don't want to feel anything. I mean, that's the whole point. That's the marketing. That's the root of the marketing of therapeutics, is to lessen the energy. That's the mentality. It doesn't mean it's actually happening. And no matter what, your time is going to be your time if you haven't reinforced your body correctly, if you've been set up to fail. And so this is why, like, I don't want to hang out with people that I know are dealing with stuff, especially in large groups, because I could be contributing to a major situation to some of the vulnerable population. And so if I hang out with people that I don't really know, and which, kind of sucks, but I mean, some things you just got to go to because it's part of certain requirements in the world that I live in. And so I will go to certain things, but not to people that I actually care about. The people that I care about, I'm staying far away from. I mean, I'm serious. It sounds kind of weird. It sounds so counterintuitive, but the people that I actually really do care about, I'm kind of distancing myself because I don't want to feel like I've contributed to something that could potentially happen. And I know it sounds like, oh, no, because we're going to see what's going to happen this fall. I mean, the drum beats are getting loud, and they're getting everybody in, lined up over there at the different hospitals and whatever, getting all their therapies. And there's some people who are not going to do it, which, okay, that's whatever. But what are they doing in lieu of? And that's the issue, is what are they doing in lieu of that? And they're not doing anything really that's going to be helping them. Especially if they don't understand the J-Juice mentality. They're just setting themselves up to fail. So we'll see how things transpire, because there's a lot of people in my community that are very vulnerable. And I hope that they can survive this next environment. I don't hold out a lot of hope, only because I know people's conditions. They already suffered a condition, a year ago from the initial onset. And now with all the therapeutics and everyone mutating everything, and it's only going to get worse. It's not, Bill Gates already said it. It's only going to get worse. It ain't going to get better. So that's kind of why I am the way I am. And I've been distancing myself from a lot of different things, because I just can't see myself, just contributing to that, pretending that nothing exists, especially when I know people have been fighting some stuff. They've been going to the hospital, they're getting radiation therapy. They've been already, diagnosed, and there's hardly anything to them. Could they handle my presence? Could they handle a group of people's presence? No. And that was always been my thing, even the last couple of years, but the virus wasn't picking up steam like it is now. Because I felt it a second time, but my body was able to handle it and kick it out or adapt to it. And so I'm doing great today. Did a nice poop, drinking some coffee. I feel very clear-headed. My dog feels good. She slept with me all day yesterday on my bed. My husband's down here on the couch, just, taking his snoozes because he needed to. And I was upstairs doing my thing with my dog, and so everyone, everyone in this household is working with the energy. Okay. And that's really what I really care about, is making sure that everything in my immediate world is taken care of and can handle this environment. So there's no surprises, and so my husband has been warned about, this fall is going to be a doozy. You might be feeling some shit like you did back in 2021 or 2020, because it was September 2020 when he felt something. Yeah. In 2021, he would feel certain things like I did. But he knows. Even though he says he doesn't believe everything that I'm doing or believe everything that I'm saying, I think he gets it, because he is taking more salt. And I said, you need to release, honey. You need to release. That's why people are so swollen, because all that mucus of viral programming is still trapped inside the body. Those are the dreams that he gets. He dreams a lot at night. He laughs in his dreams. So there must be some funny ass little comedian viruses in his body. And I just have viruses that are just reinforcing what I'm saying. So then I'll post it on Facebook if I feel like I need to. It may seem like, duh, but it's like, oh yeah. So, I have finally the aligned viruses that are aligned with my daytime stuff to my nighttime stuff, And so, it's the world is so crazy. It's so amazing once you figure it out. So anyways, I'm going to do my stuff. I'm going to keep writing. But yeah, viruses are the pinnacle of it all. And that's why, Dr. Fossey has to like forward pedal and back pedal, forward pedal and back pedal. And he knows that many people are not prepared for the amount of energy that these viruses are going to produce, especially with Lollapalooza, with all the concerts, obviously with all the different vectors being given out. People are not going to survive this, and it will be like the rapture. This will be like the rapture. And people do not win the war inside, and they just fall over. That's what happened in the beginning of China. And probably all those videos from China were probably from the southern China, because everyone in southern China is so skinny. I mean, northern China too, but southern China, they're all eating dim sum and steamed stuff, and they're very slight and not a lot of heavy sauces in southern China. So the bodies are very, very depleted. And so when you add in a bunch of viral transducers, they just fall over like the rapture. They just fall over, or they have a seizure. Okay, that's a lot of electricity. That's viral energy affecting the neurological system. All right, so the rapture is not too far from the realm of possibility when you really want to put it in scientific terms. All right, once you understand viruses and their energy and the data that they hold within. All right, bye.